Hello, everyone. My guest today is Pete MacLeod. He's a self-taught developer and entrepreneur from Scotland. He launched NoCSDegree a year ago to inspire people to learn coding. It features 90 interviews with developers and taught themselves coding or learned at boot camps. He also has a jobs board, a bootcamp index, and an imposter syndrome book. Pete, you ready to take us to the top?
Yeah, totally.
All right. So if folks want to follow along, the website is NoCSDegree.com. So what's the business model? Are people buying sort of one-off courses here, or is there a SaaS play?
Sure. So it's a bit of a mix, really. So I've got lots of content on there. So I've got over 92 interviews so far with developers. So lots of them are sponsored. I've also got a book out recently on imposter syndrome, and I've actually got a job board as well and a bootcamp listing website. So companies and bootcamps pay to feature on those and to get.
Sorry, what are you saying? You're saying BitCamp?
Bootcamp.
Oh, bootcamp. Got it. But the main website though is NoCSDegree, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Okay. And so if you do you make money on the job board or no? Is that a free tool?
No, I make more money from the main website, but yeah. So basically at the moment, I made a rookie mistake, to be honest, and made different brand names. So I'm kind of combining them at the moment into NoCSDegree.
So which tool today, because this is what we'll focus on, which tool today generates the most revenue for you? The bootcamp sales?
No, the sponsored content on NoCSDegree.
Okay. So help me understand what that looks like. I'm on NoCSDegree.com right now. Where can I find some of the sponsored content?
Sure. So basically there's about 100 articles on the website so far. So if you scroll down, there will be, I think the latest one that I did was with Flatiron School. So I've had sponsored content with Flatiron School and Makers Academy in London. So one of the recent one with Flatiron School was someone that did their cybersecurity course. So that was, I think, Joanne Puchek. I hope I'm getting their name right. And yeah, they did a course. They served in the US Army, and then after that, they learned cybersecurity at Flatiron School, and now they're working in the job in that area. So it's really a good way to show that you don't.
I'm in that article right now. The headline is "Getting an Entry-Level Cybersecurity Job Thanks to Flatiron School." You're saying this is sort of a sponsored piece of content. So what does a sponsor pay to get featured in a blog post like this?
Well, I wouldn't be able to give a precise figure, because basically that gives information to competitors, and I haven't agreed with that school.
Pete, a range is fine. We're trying to understand the business here.
Sorry?
A range is fine. I'm trying to help the audience understand the business.
Yeah, sure. In the hundreds of dollars range.
Okay. And what are they paying for? Are you driving them a certain number of clicks or doing an email send, or what return are they expecting on the $500 spend with you?
Yeah, sure. So basically they get mentioned in the newsletter. They get sent out twice a week. They get people applying for their courses. I'm very active on Twitter. So they get basically a more in-depth guide to life at their bootcamp than they would do, say, ordinarily on another website.
Okay. And how many sorts of sponsors like this are you working with on a monthly basis? Are we talking you're doing $2,000 a month in sponsorships, or $20,000 a month in sponsorships?
Near $2,000.
Okay. And so, are you doing this full time?
Yeah, that's right.
So how are you sort of hustling your way to make sure you sort of cover your expenses and do anything you can to generate cash now so you can build a bigger business in the future?
Sure. Well, I actually just spoke to a few founders this week. So I've had some really good advice from people. So basically, I'm going to be, at the moment, there's a lot of content on the website, but I'm going to be directing people more towards products. But really it's a case of, I'll research lots of people on LinkedIn. I'll do lots of cold emails. I'll reach out to people on Twitter, which is my biggest social media channel by far. So I guess it's really a case of just reaching out to people and building relationships. And luckily, lots of people like NoCSDegree, and they see that there's lots of cool interviews there. There's lots of people that have really transformed their lives and gone from, say, working as a waitress to working as a developer. So yeah, there's lots of positive stories. So I guess it's quite a good start for talking to people and building these kind of relationships.
So you have 4,100 followers on Twitter. Your pinned tweet from July 23rd said, "It's my business birthday, $14,600 in revenue, 94 interviews published, 4,500 email subscribers, and 211,000 page views." Is that all accurate?
Yeah, that's completely accurate. Down to the last cent.
That's great. And so $14,000 in revenue over what period of time?
So that's a year. So basically, I'm like wanting to get to the kind of benchmark that a lot of people do, which is like $10,000 a month. One of my like main mentors, Pat Walls, who runs Starter Story, he just hit 10,000 a month, and I guess me and him have got similar sites. So yeah, I'm really taking a leaf out of his book and other people like Cortland Allen, who started Indie Hackers. So they're my kind of two big inspirations. And yeah, so I'm really wanting to build it up a lot higher. I think the first year is always going to be the hardest one.
Of course. Now, is Pat Wall's business model also to sell sponsorships?
No, originally it was to sell sponsorships, but he's moved towards, I guess, having a community of people that are wanting to start their own businesses. And yeah, so he started it quite gradually. He had a low price point per month, and now he's just switched to a yearly pricing model. So that's obviously built up a lot of good cash flow for him. So yeah, that's definitely a really good inspiration. And yeah, I'm taking lots of advice from lots of people at the moment.
That's great. So you launched then about a year ago, 2019?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
And walk me through, getting your first 4,000 subscribers on a newsletter is not easy. How did you get your first 100?
I did really well with my launch. I launched on ProductHunt and got, I guess, in the top 5 or so. But the biggest thing was I launched on HackerNews, and I didn't have any profile there or any kind of, any like big kind of following or backing there, but everyone really loved it, and it stayed top of Hacker News for like a day. So that got like, I can't remember how much it was exactly, but something like 30,000 hits. Got loads of people emailing me in on day one just to like tell me about their story of being self-taught developers. So that's cool. So I had lots of content straight away. So yeah, I guess having a really good launch helped, and also just being really active on Twitter and just promoting the newsletter, all the time at the end of, every article, and whenever I'm talking to people on podcasts like this one, I guess.
So how did you, so Hacker News can give you a bunch of traffic. I get that. There's a sort of art and science to ranking high on Hacker News. We're not going to try and reverse engineer that because it really is sort of art plus science. We can reverse engineer, though, the flow once those hits hit your website. So 30,000 people hit your website from Hacker News. Where do you put the email opt-in?
Yeah, so it's like front and center right at the start of the website in the header. So I think having that's really important. I would say that I use a exit pop-up, which is a really good idea. But I think a lot of people intuitively now are a little bit, against pop-ups. And I'd say that's true if they're like straight away. But an analogy I heard from Harry Dry, who does a great marketing website, is kind of like, do you go into a museum and someone goes up to you straight away and says, hey, can you give $10 to support a museum? You're probably not going to do that. But if you've had a really good time at the museum and you're leaving and someone says, hey, you had a good time, can you support this place? You're more likely to. So basically my pop-up is one that when someone's about to leave the website, then I say, hey.
What's your conversion rate on the exit pop-up?
I don't have that info at hand, to be honest, but I would say that some other tools that you can use on a pop-up to help would be things like talking about value. So instead of saying subscribe, you can say, get help with coding. So make it a value proposition rather than, subscribe is kind of like a bland kind of word that doesn't really give value.
So this Hacker News launched, I'm looking right now, is July 23rd, 2019. It got 692 upvotes, which is a lot. So I can see why this drove 30,000 clicks to your website. On that first day or two of that post going live on Hacker News or Y Combinator, how many new email opt-ins did you get?
How many subscribers?
New email opt-ins, subscribers, yeah.
Yeah, I think I think it would have been about 500 or so. I didn't optimize it amazingly well. So basically, when I was doing my launch, I was like improving the email sign up flow as I went. So when I first launched, I didn't have, say, like an exit pop up, and then people were telling me to add one. So when I launched my job board a few months later, that I had everything prepared for that, and I got 1,000 subscribers in a week, and it was definitely good that I'd learned from my first launch. So yeah, I think as with anything, you do things enough times, you can hopefully use things as a teachable moment, and then
you haven't been able to catch the lightning in a bottle twice, right? So I look at all your posts on Hacker News. You've posted about sort of once or twice per month for the past, call it 12 months. None have gone anywhere near 700K, upvotes like your first one, right? So it's many would argue it's not a repeatable process, right? So I get the launch strategies. I understand that. Talk to me about the ProductHunt launch. So when you launched NoCSDegree on ProductHunt, you got about 280 upvotes. This was also about a year ago. Did that drive more or less new email subscribers compared to Hacker News?
I think Hacker News drove more. But I would say that in ProductHunt, the benefit is that it is obviously much more of a community where people, for instance, talk to each other and support each other. And I guess Hacker News, what I'm trying to say is Hacker News is kind of like, there is a lot of luck involved, and it can be quite hit or miss. Whereas in ProductHunt, if you launch lots of times, you can build up a following and people can see you and get to know you and say, there's lots of people I know on ProductHunt because I've launched other things like my book. So they can see that I've launched, several products in the same area. So yeah, I think ProductHunt is probably better for kind of like building up a following, whereas Hacker News can be more of a kind of, you can plug away at lots of things and it can either go sky high or nothing. So it's more of a black or white situation, I'd say.
Yeah, you've done a lot of project launches. You did the tech press list back in the day, got about 400 upvotes. Are those lists effective? Can you cold email those and get a good response rate?
Or what list effective?
You launched tech press list.
Oh yeah, sure. Basically, that is an old product, so it's not something that's active anymore. But I would say that that's kind of like a good indication with ProductHunt, is because that was my first ever product and it did really well. So I think ProductHunt is good because if you make something that people like, then people will upvote it. So I think there's
not first, by the way. You didn't just, you put in the work. You put in the work to learn, because you had Pete's Cheap Travel, Pete's Cheap Trains, HOD, HODL Me, Bitcoin Play, Do You Even Ship, demo details, and then Tech Press List, which got 400 upvotes.
Well, I think, as I seem to remember, I think that might be a reverse chronological list. So I'm pretty sure Tech Press List was the first one. But yeah, I would say that it's kind of like the best way to learn with launching is to launch lots of stuff.
Your most successful one was a travel play, Nomad Flights. What happened to that business? You got 738 upvotes from that.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of glad I'm not in the flights business right now, because obviously everything's grinding to a halt. I think with that one, it was, look, there's lots of things that do great on ProductHunt, and it was like the perfect kind of niche for that audience, but I couldn't really find a business model that worked with that. So I think, this is my opinion, but I think with something like a cheap flights website, with Scott's Cheap Flights, which is obviously the original numero uno, I think that works because he's got like a vast number of subscribers, and there's so many. So I think he can only, if you have say like 1 million subscribers, you don't have to convert very many to have a good business, or maybe you have 10 million subscribers. Whereas if you have something that's incredibly niche, like digital nomads, which, there's far fewer of them than regular consumers.
That's right.
I think that's, in general, I think it's a harder thing to make work. I think.
Now, NoCSDegree, you've bootstrapped, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
And how many folks are on the team? Just you?
Just me. So that's got its upsides and downsides. So upsides, a lot of kind of independence, and I can choose what direction to take the business. But obviously, at the end of the day, it's limited because there is just me. So I can't send out. I don't have a sales guy or a dev guy or a marketing guy or people.
Of course. You'll hustle your way there. In the meantime, though, Pete, we're out of time. Let's wrap up here with the famous 5. Number 1, favorite business book.
Make Book by Peter Levels.
Number 2, is there a CEO you're following or studying?
The CEO, I guess Cortland Allen from Indie Hackers.
Number 3, what's your favorite online tool for building your business?
Definitely Trello, just for staying organized.
Number 4, how many hours of sleep do you get every night?
I try to get 8.
Okay, and what's your situation? Married, single, kids?
In a relationship.
Okay, no kids?
No kids.
And how old are you, Pete?
Yeah. I'm 35.
35. Last question. What do you wish your 20-year-old self knew?
Don't get a job, start a business.
Guys, there you have it. NoCSDegree.com, playing big in the no-code and low-code sort of space in these communities. Pat Wells sort of communities. Pete has grown his business to, many thousands opted into his email list, 4,500. He monetizes by sponsorship deals. Does about $2,000 a month on sponsorship deals, looking to scale that. He's done $14,000 over the past 12 months. Now is looking to scale to create more sort of a membership site sort of thing, community site sort of thing. Pete, we're rooting for you, man. Thanks for taking us to the top.
Okay, no bother. Thank you.
One more thing before you go. We have a brand new show every Thursday at 1 p.m. Central. It's called Shark Tank for SaaS. We call it Deal or Bust. One founder comes on, 3 hungry buyers, they try and do a deal live, and the founder shares back-end dashboards, their expenses, their revenue, ARPU, CAC, LTV, you name it, they share it, and the buyers try and make a deal live. It is fun to watch every Thursday, 1 p.m. Central. Additionally, remember, these recorded founder interviews go live. We release them here on YouTube every day at 2 p.m. Central. To make sure you don't miss any of that, make sure you click the subscribe button below here on YouTube, the big red button, and then click the little bell notification to make sure you get notifications when we do go live. I wouldn't want you to miss breaking news in the SaaS world, whether it's an acquisition, a big fundraise, a big sale, a big profitability statement, or something else. I don't want you to miss it. Additionally, if you want to take this conversation deeper and further, we have by far the largest private Slack community for B2B SaaS founders. You want to get in there. We've probably talked about your tool if you're running a company, or your firm if you're investing. You can go in there and quickly search and see what people are saying. Sign up for that at nathanlatka.com/Slack. In the meantime, I'm hanging out with you here on YouTube. I'll be in the comments for the next 30 minutes. Feel free to let me know what you thought about this episode. And if you enjoyed it, click the thumbs up. We get a lot of haters that are mad at how aggressive I am on these shows, but I do it so that we can all learn. We have to counter those people. We got to push them away. Click the thumbs up below to counter them, and know that I appreciate your guys' support. All right, I'll be in the comments. See ya.